I am the Secretary General of an organization called the Club of Rome, and you'll hear more about that in the interview. The central point is population is going like that. The consequences of living standard improvements and population are doubling our energy use, and we have to do that at a time where we reduce emissions by 80% if we are to have a tolerable climate. And that is, in a nutshell, one dimension of the problems we face. And to give you a positive conclusion, marginal improvements in technology will not solve that problem. We need radical breakthroughs in technology, completely different ideas about generating energy in ways which are not so damaging. And in the scientific community there is hope of finding very different concepts and very different ideas. So what we need is basic research. The amounts we spend at the moment are pitiful. We spend billions on military stuff to prevent military threats. We're spending peanuts to solve the climate, energy, population problems. The planet doesn't care how much resources are here. The real issue is, are there enough resources to provide a tolerable living standard for the people who live on this planet? And we now, as you probably know, have 6.8 billion people living here. And we expect another 2.3 billion people in the next 40 years, which is a huge addition to the current population. So the resource question comes down to the issue, can we provide for a world population of 9 billion people? I think we have to be a little bit careful what we mean when we say resources. Exactly. Some people only mean resources that you dig out of the ground, physical, material resources. But in terms of the survival of humanity on this planet, there are other resources like agricultural land, which is under attack by desertification all over the world. Another hugely important resource is the oceans, which are now in very, very serious trouble. So if you take a broad view of what you mean by resources, and you include, for example, clean water, clean air, then these are resources that everybody relies on. And there's another type of resource which we have never to forget, that humans live on this planet because there are millions of ecosystems which are functioning all the time to create the plants and the vegetation, the trees, everything we use comes from the biodiversity of this planet. And we are destroying that at a remarkable rate. And we are overusing the resources of the planet, and I'm sure the listeners will know that we are using every year 35% more of the resources of the planet. That is to say, if the planet can produce 100% of biological resources in a year, we are using 135%. That means we are living off our biological capital, not just our biological revenue that the Earth produces every year. And clearly, this is, in the long term, as we say, unsustainable. So there are poor people, millions of them, all over the world, who are suffering from these resource issues already today. And that's a different question from the question of when will we hit peak oil, or how long can we go on providing copper, or whatever it may be. We don't only have one crisis, which is a financial crisis, which everybody is very excited about. We have another crisis, which is very dangerous, which is climate change. But we don't only have two crises, we have other ones. We have ecosystem degradation all over the world. We definitely have a crisis in the oceans, as many of you will know. The temperature of the oceans is rising, and the acidification of the oceans is moving very fast. And if we start destroying life in the oceans, where 90% of all life on this planet resides in the oceans, then we are running into very big problems. So from the point of view of the Club of Rome, which has been working on these issues for 40 years, we do not consider that the present path of world development, the way the world is going today, is sustainable. We think we are running into huge problems, and it cannot continue on this basis very much longer. $2.3 billion more people arrive on the planet. They also want some energy, right? Not lots, but just basics. If we assume great energy efficiency improvements, if we're all very optimistic about what we can do, we still need to double energy output by 2050 if we are to provide for all these people. Chinese experts have calculated that if they were to improve their energy efficiency in China to the level of middle OECD, not the top of the tree, just the middle, they could at least double their GDP, their economy, without increasing their installed energy capacity. That means no more power stations. We have the capacities to solve these problems. We have the brains, we have the organization, we have the technologies, we have the established systems, and we actually have the financial resources if we choose to use them. All right? So it is basically a positive analysis in the sense that the problems could be solved. The issue, therefore, is, are we as a species capable of getting our act together, agreeing with each other, and mobilizing the resources to do it? And I think that that is the core challenge underlying everything I've said, is that we have got to find a way of organizing ourselves and agreeing to take the necessary action before it's too late. It's very hard to motivate people just by saying you've got big problems, right? So you really have to try to think, what kind of world do we want? How can we achieve it? And mobilize people to do that. So a positive vision is necessary. It's difficult because the problems are severe, but we are working on this program to define a new path of world development towards a positive vision.